to Straight No Chaser. This here is episode 28. I'd like to introduce a very special guest of mine, Paige D'Ambrosio. So she is part of Suffolk Free Radio, WSFR. And so Jake here is going to conduct a little interview about kind of what Paige has been doing lately and kind of her work with the Suffolk Radio. And then we're going to introduce our topics as we usually do and keep the discussion going. So if you'd like to take it away, Jake.
Yep, absolutely. So Paige, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm so great. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So yeah, WSFR is a local station for Boston. There's a bunch of different shows and programs that they put on. If you want to give us kind of a rundown of what the station does and also what you do for the station, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, sure thing. So right now, WSFR offers both live shows and podcasts for students and faculty at Boston. It's mainly a student-run club. We have some help from SLI, but our GM, Liv Dulong, and all of us on the e-board are doing a ton of work to get WSFR, to be one of the most fun and inclusive clubs at Suffolk. So it's been really great. We currently have about 20 live shows and 3 to 4 podcasts. It's nice, we used to, before the pandemic, bring in about 200 students every semester. So we definitely took a hit last semester when things went down. But it's nice that we're starting to build membership back up and everything. It's really fun.
That's awesome. And so, what are your responsibilities at the station or for the club?
Yeah, so right now my current title is the secretary. I honestly don't exactly know what a secretary is supposed to do, but my main job is bringing in new students and helping them get connected with the club and learn how our equipment works. It's really fun. You get to meet a lot of people and hear a lot of different ideas. WSFR's main thing is that it can be whatever you want, whatever you're interested in talking about. So we get some really passionate students who just want to, go on air and share their joy for things that they care about. I'm also in charge of attendance, reminders, little emails, fun stuff like that. I check the email probably 3 times a day. So pretty interesting.
So I kind of have a few technical questions here. So I'm assuming there are a few studios that you guys use. What is the equipment and the software that you guys run these live shows on?
So we're actually working out of one studio on the 2nd floor of Sawyer. It's really nice because we actually just upgraded it right before the pandemic, which was great. Because my first year on WSFR, those quick side story, I was the studio technician because that's what I did in high school. I worked with audio and lighting tech. So I came in and they basically picked me because I was the only applicant who lived on campus and was willing to run to Sawyer at 11 o'clock at night to go fix things for people's shows. So I was basically a little electrician who would come at any beck and call to go fix stuff. But that was an issue. So we ended up standardizing our studio to get it more up to professional speed with better mics, better audio equipment. We're currently streaming on an app called Mixler. It's technically supposed to be like online radio. We aren't a station that you could listen to in your car, but we're available on the web, which is fun because it's a little bit more accessible than a normal radio station. And then we also send out our podcasts over Spotify, Hulu, and SoundCloud, which is fun too.
That's cool. I actually like that. Just a quick side note is I feel like it's better for our generation to do it that way because not as many people our age listen to traditional radio. Whereas if you just have a web browser on your phone and you can hook it up to the Bluetooth in your car, I almost feel like more people would do that instead.
Exactly. And it's fun because it's one of those apps you can close out of and the music will still play. It's not like YouTube or something where you have to stay on it all the time. So it's really great to just like pull up on your computer while you're doing homework or, whatever, just to support like a local club, local radio station. And it's super accessible too, you don't have to worry about like your friends who live far away, not being able to listen to your station. So that's really nice.
For sure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Have you guys used Anchor at all for the podcasts you wear?
Yeah, we use Anchor and Audacity, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Those two. I honestly don't know much about podcasting equipment. I was always super interested in it, but I just never got the chance to learn because I was so consumed by the live show equipment. I used to have that stuff like locked in my brain, photographic memory of how to fix the studio, and most of the time it was, did you try shutting it off and turning it back on again? So we've gotten past that. We've had very rare studio breakdowns, which has been nice.
Yeah.
But we do run at like a 24-hour on-air timeline. It used to be much more of a big deal when we had people going into the studio who would maybe like forget to put their playlist on afterwards. But now that we're running from remote broadcasting and in-studio broadcasting, it's been a lot easier to stay 24 hours.
That's cool. And so, since there's different playlists going on through different times of the day, are there certain times where you could get like maybe like pop or hip hop, and then other times of the day where you could get like country or alternative? Something like that?
So each shows usually go on air once a week. And each show is assigned like a certain a certain playlist to play after theirs. So like my music show is kind of like alternative pop. So I have like an alternative pop playlist that I'll put on after it each week. So it's kind of like if you look at our schedule and you like know what playlist comes on afterwards, like last year my playlist always used to come after a country one. My show was always after a country playlist. So like you tuned in on Thursdays at 10 o'clock, you could listen to country for an hour, But it's fun. We have a music director who like curates all our podcasts, and I keep saying podcast because I'm on one right now. It's stuck in my head. We curate our playlist, so it's really fun to see all the new songs and new music she ends up finding.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I actually have a question. So, since you guys are like an official radio show, to actually get permissions for the music you use, what kind of process do you have to go through to do that?
So I can't remember the exact name of the program we use, but basically with our club budget, we have a small amount of money that goes towards paying for this. I don't know what the right word is for it, but like subscription to this website. And so basically, as long as we keep a log every year of all the songs we play, we're able to, not get in trouble with copyright or anything. It's interesting. It's a really tough job. Our music director is in charge of getting all the playlists from every shows. Shows are required to keep a list of their songs they play. And she's in charge of getting every single one of those at the end of the semester and sending it to this, subscription website so they know what music we're playing. It used to be quite the hassle when we were a club of 90 plus people, but now that we're back down to in the 20 range, it's not that bad.
I actually had a question about you mentioned how the music kind of comes on after every show. Is that just live shows, or is that podcast as well that it comes on after?
So live shows and podcasts are both streamed on different places, and because we can't we don't have copyright for Spotify or Hulu or not. Why did I say Hulu? I meant SoundCloud. They're both. No, one's green and the other one's orange. In my head, they were both orange for a second. That's embarrassing. But because we don't have copyright with them, we can't play music during podcasts. That's the one thing. You can swear during podcasts though, and you can't swear.
Oh, that's sick.
We're online.
Yeah, that's what we do all the time. But it's funny because I didn't think that. I actually didn't know that.
We're a bit more decentralized though.
Through Suffolk,
on podcasts here.
What are the what are the most popular, like which live shows and or podcasts like get the most views? Actually, I'm kind of curious.
So our biggest live show for the past like 2 years since it's been around is our conspiracy theory show, which is my friends Trevor, Harry, and Colin. And I don't know if you guys remember Luis Catalan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Luis
he was our boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luis was on it. It's called I Ain't Never Seen It.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I did come up with the name. They won't credit me
Really?
for it. I did.
Oh, you got to get on there, kid.
Freshman year, we were all buddies, and I said they should name it that, but we're not going to go there. But they've been super popular. And then, I won't brag, but I like to think my live show does pretty well, but who knows? I do like my sunrise Thursday morning music show. I did get 15 listeners last week, so that's pretty good.
Okay.
Nice.
Wait, what time is it at?
I do a 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. show.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. But we used to
Should be
have,
up by then.
yeah, we used to have a really popular sports broadcast called Sass and Math, and they would go live on Facebook, and they'd get upwards of like 300 watchers, like as they were live, which was really cool. They did super well. And then they both transferred, so that was really heartbreaking. But their show was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll definitely check out your show, actually. It sounds
Cool.
interesting. And it's about, you said it's about music. Like, is it about discussing like current music or like past music?
So I just do like a complete music show where I'll come on like every 5 minutes just to be like, and that was blah blah blah. Up next we have
Okay.
I just like to play music to kind of like wake up in the morning. Sometimes I'll
Yeah.
have like topics that I talk about and stuff, but I try not to spend too much time talking because it's early. I just want to listen to music.
Yeah. You're like
We
Maddie in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We have like another show if like you're more it's kind of more of a girly show, I would say. It's called The Girls Room, as you can tell. But it's pretty good. It's like a segment show, kind of like what you guys do a little bit, but more like specific segments, I'd say.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. They do like a sports corner and like all this stuff because it's my friends Gretchen and Nina. Gretchen is obsessed with the Bruins, and Nina's obsessed with the Celtics. So they do like a pretty well-rounded and good like sports talk, and then other fun stuff like zodiacs and questions of the week.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Weekly
So-
horoscope.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to mention it now. WSFR is doing a charity fundraiser right now. If you wanted to tell the audience about that and how
Yeah.
they can contribute.
Yes. So coming up on April 10th into April 11th, WSFR's 3 seniors, Harry Hunter, Chris Sliwa, and Liv Dulong, are doing a 24-hour lock-in. This is our 2nd annual one. And it's a charity fund for the Beth Israel Healthcare Heroes Fund. So it's all going to the nurses who have worked so hard during COVID, which is really great. And it's super exciting. 24-hour lock-in. There's going to be a bunch of segments from different clubs and people across Suffolk. A bunch of fun games and watching people stay up for 24 hours. So it'll be pretty funny too. And we're doing, I think, upwards of like 10 to 15 really great giveaways. We have, some food gift cards across Boston, like Mooya and, other staple places. And, Florina's Pizza, Dunkin' Donuts, all that jazz. A Target gift card, pretty sick. A pretty nice hoodie too. I don't know. It's gonna be fun. There's some fun stuff we're giving away, so feel free to tune in.
Yeah,
We're
actually, that's
I was gonna ask real quick. So wait, would you like did you do like a lot of the organization for that? Because I remember. So I'm the secretary now at Suffolk FC, like SUFC, the soccer club.
Yeah.
I saw you like reaching out.
I did.
About that.
We spent like an entire day collecting every club email, like every club at Suffolk's emails. And there's a lot of clubs at Suffolk.
Yeah.
and to send an email to being like, hey, clubs, like, do you want to come on our lock-in? I got 0 email replies. So then I was like,
on Instagram.
we're switching to Instagram DMing people now. Just the most annoying way possible to get involvement. So I was like, I'm going to DM every single club that I come across.
Yeah.
And it worked out. We got some people to join. So
that's awesome.
Did you guys did WSFR come to a finance committee last year? Because I remember hearing about that. And then because of COVID, I think like it might have gotten like thrown off the rails a bit.
Probably. I mean, we go to whatever people ask us to go to.
Okay.
It's usually a lot of DJing events. That's another thing. We haven't been able to do it recently just because of COVID, and there hasn't been many events. But usually WSFR can get rented out, quote unquote, by any club to come and do like a DJ set. And it's really fun for like students who are interested in learning about that, because the past 3 graduating general members have gone on to have like professional careers in radio, and broadcasting, which is really cool. So it's good experience and a fun way to learn.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And then,
it is cool.
I just wanted to shout out to Luis because freshman year, I was actually pretty good friends with him, and me and Jake had him on our first podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he talked about I Had Never Seen It. Yeah, that's a good show.
It's hilarious. They always make me laugh so hard. I got to be on one a couple weeks ago, and like it's really funny because they plan all their stuff like an hour before they go on, so they get like these really like raw and honest reactions. So I think they're so funny personally.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually they have a similar process to us then, I guess.
Yeah, right. But it's cool. My favorite thing about WSFR is that like people can really do whatever they're interested in. Like we have one show that's completely dedicated to the Grateful Dead. Like we have another show that's all about Boston. Like it's really fun because people can just like come up with an idea and do what they want, and it's cute because like beautiful poster.
Right.
You'd like it. It's called The Great Went. It's a pretty good show.
Okay.
But it's just fun. You can really just like talk about whatever you want, whatever makes you happy, and you get a lot of really interesting and really passionate shows out of that.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask that actually reminds me of like a couple questions I was gonna ask. So I was gonna say, what are like your favorite things, like you mentioned a little bit, like the things you enjoy the most, and also like the biggest challenges as being part of a student-run radio station?
Yeah. So number one is easily just like the freedom you get to really talk about whatever you want. Like I was an orientation leader 2 years ago, and I used to run around after that night and be like, what do you like to talk about? And they'd be like, oh, I like magic. And I was like, you could start a radio show about magic. Probably the most annoying person there, but it was really fun. And it actually did get a lot of people to join, and that's another thing is like, because it's so like independent work, I guess, people are really passionate about their shows, and like people put a lot of effort in to make their shows really great. And it's just so like, it's kind of cheesy, but it's super heartwarming to see people like so excited to do something and putting so much effort into something. And then on top of it, it's a really great show, like club, if you have a busy schedule. It's like you can, there's a half an hour meeting once every other week. You can do your show at whatever time you want. If you're broadcasting from home, you can do it at 2:00 in the morning if that makes you happy. It's like super like low key and very like a calm club to be in. Like you're not gonna stress out about being in WSFR because this is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So that's just my favorite things about it. And then we used to have a lot more challenges before, like we standardized the studio, because it was just constant worrying about the studio breaking down during someone's show. And like I said before, people are so passionate that like when something goes wrong, they get mad. Like they are not happy, which is understandable, but it's scary being a little freshman and some student is mad at you because the station broke, you know? I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But,
I also, like, that's the thing. I don't know how complex your setup is, but, like, that was one of the more frustrating things at the beginning of, like, setting up a YouTube podcast was making sure everything worked correctly. Because I remember one episode we just completely lost because the audio wasn't done correctly.
yeah,
It's just a learning process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so we got it to work by getting 2 desktops and having the Mixler feed through one and the music feed through the other, and kind of getting them into a loop where they would match up. And that was how we ended up fixing it, because we used to just run everything on one computer, and then that computer would overheat and shut down, and, you know, during the middle of someone's show, or because we were running 24 hours, it never got a break. So
yeah, that makes sense.
it took a lot out of it. So really fixing that saved a lot of stress and a lot of, you know, meetings where we would
You guys
fight
were frying
together.
that CPU.
Yeah,
I can only
happening-
imagine the CPU's running at 99% all the fucking time.
Exactly. It would restart and then, like, just destroy Mixler. It was the worst. So that was probably, like, the biggest stress. But now that we have that, like, under control, I think it's really just, like I mentioned, we lost a lot of membership due to Corona and all that stuff. So it's sad, kind of, because it's like, oh, what happened? We used to be, like, such a huge club, and the what's it called? Not the club parade, but that thing we do on the Common every year, the involvement fair. Yeah, it was like everybody loved going to that. It was so much fun, and, like, not getting to do it or getting to do it on, like, the second floor of Sawyer, sitting alone in a room, was, like, so heartbreaking, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like we want to get back to where we were, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about 2021. It's like almost new beginnings in so many respects.
Yeah, so I'm excited. We're currently working on getting a new e-board at the moment, because we have 3 people graduating. So we're going to be, you know, looking for a new general manager and then a couple new positions on the e-board, which is pretty exciting. So we'll see how that goes too, because, you know, new head of house. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, while we're on the topic of meeting new people, everyone, I made a Suffolk Reddit page. It's called Suffolk University Rams, and I'm gonna need, like, someone who's younger, like, to become an admin on the page, because if it grows to more than, like, 100 people, it's gonna need a new admin, because I'm graduating next year. So it's like I can't not be an undergraduate and run the page. I'm gonna have to have someone else do it.
You gotta find some mentees.
I gotta find
mentor
someone. I'm gonna just, like, hit up a few freshmen who look like they know what they're doing with their lives.
Yeah.
Just have them run the page.
Yeah. Actually, I added something that you guys do over at WSFR, which I think is really cool, is Acoustic Sundays, how you do, like, the live music.
Yeah.
And actually, our last guest, Lane, he's performing, I believe, on Sunday.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so if you want to talk a little bit about that and how that started up.
Yeah, so WSFR just started about 2 years ago. Not WSFR, what am I saying? Acoustic Sundays started 2 years ago, our freshman year, because of Gabby Perrin and our other general manager friend, Derek, who they both graduated and moved on and are living lovely lives, but they both started Acoustic Sundays as a way to get people who were interested in broadcast journalism and interviewing a chance to kind of see what that was like, and also to showcase, like, more underground Boston music and smaller artists. And it's been really fun. Again, like, listener and viewership for that is huge, which is super awesome. I remember the first one of the semester we did, we got like 300 plus live watchers, and, like, that was just so cool to see, you know, because we posted on Facebook and Instagram and also Twitter, I think. I'm not sure. And we do it live on air, too. So it's super fun. You get to go into the space sometimes if it's a Suffolk student and just do the setup and, like, sit on the chairs, and you kind of feel like Oprah for a little bit. You know, it's fun.
Just no free car handouts.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely look forward to watching those because I mean I'm hoping me actually and my other roommate Alec we're hoping to do one sometime later this semester actually together.
Yeah,
So I really always look forward to those, and it's like one of my favorite shows on the radio.
yeah, definitely
Um,
get in touch with Olivia. She will be happy to talk to you guys about that because she is our head Acoustic Sundays representative, and she's so good at it. It's insane. We get like the whole season booked in like a month because she's so deep in that like Boston underground scene. It's
mhm.
really cool.
One last thing actually before Jake changes the subject. What's like your advice to anyone starting out in broadcasting or in radio? And like it's a good tip.
Definitely like allow yourself to mess up because the first couple times is going to be so scary and so just like I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh my god, I tripped over my words. I sound like an idiot, you know? Like just get used to like dealing with those little mess ups and like keeping like moving with it cuz I remember I used to screw up my words all the time and I'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm such an idiot. Like I should never do this again." And then the next second time I'd get on, it'd be like perfectly normal, and it was so fun. So I think definitely do that, and then don't be afraid to get involved. Everybody says it, but if you're interested in learning, WSFR Suffolk Free Radio is such a great place to learn and such a great place to have all your little mess ups before you spread your wings and become a professional radio show host or podcaster.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I'd call us professionals yet, but we're trying to get there. And
Okay.
we've had several of those moments ourselves, especially first starting out. I mean, we still have moments like that, but yeah,
They're few and
yeah.
far between at this point.
The only way you learn is just by saying fuck it and doing it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The last one I
So-
think was me calling like Ruger's Rutgers.
No. Yeah, Reuters, the magazine that everyone
Reuters,
knows.
Yeah.
I
Rutgers.
don't remember Rutgers like it's a university.
But yeah, so actually speaking on kind of mistakes and just like problems and difficulties faced with people who are in, because like I definitely kind of know what you're talking about, Paige, with like this as someone who's in broadcast journalism. And something that's also people kind of puts people on the spot a lot is like the public's perception of you, and also just like your listeners, and like especially with the internet dealing with like online hate and censorship, which sometimes even like it could even backfire on your own organization sometimes. So what I was like looking at a lot recently in my one of my classes actually was what gave me the idea about this is like prominent journalists and hosts of shows who kind of have to deal with this like online hate. So two examples I picked out is for example Taylor Lorenz, who's a New York Times journalist. I don't know if you heard about this story, but she tweeted on International Women's Day. She said, "For International Women's Day, please consider supporting women enduring online harassment. It's not an exaggeration to say the harassment and smear campaign I've had to endure over the past year has destroyed my life. No one should go through this." So she tweeted that. This was just her own experience she was talking about. And then it made it onto the Tucker Carlson show. And Tucker Carlson, of course, like went off on her. He's like, "Huh, destroyed her life? Really? Not by most people's standards." He's just like, Taylor Lorenz has a really great life, one of the best in the countries, in fact. He's like, a lot of people would love to be in her position. So in this instance, actually, New York Times defended her and called out Tucker Carlson and said he was being calculated, predictable, and cruel. And so that's one instance of journalists suffering harassment from other journalists or hosts of the show.
Oh, is Tucker
And then-
normally like really kind and caring and like
He's a sweetheart.
nurturing? Yeah. Yeah,
But yeah. The other instance I found that we talked about is, so there was another reporter for the Washington Post. Her name was Felicia Sonmez, and this happened about a year ago, or a little over a year ago now, actually, where after the tragic death of former NBA and LA Lakers star Kobe Bryant, so he died, of course, in the tragic helicopter death. A lot of people were kind of reflecting on him and his influence on the sport of basketball and his position and just like the NBA in general. And so but she mentioned that he did have like these allegations of sexual assault or rape that were I don't know if they were ever actually fully looked into or investigated, but she basically tweeted about it, and the Washington Times actually suspended her over it. So she was suspended from her job, and there was many people online calling that on her to get fired, which like I think is pretty extreme. Because like what a lot of them were saying is like let him live in peace, like let his death be remembered in peace, like don't bring this stuff up. Like, and I get that we should respect people who have recently passed, especially icons, but at the same time, the point she made, which I also see, is that like you can't just let this shit like get away. Like this is like a serious, if this is something someone's committed, it's like a problem, like a crime that they're gonna have to like remember for. Like it's gonna be part of their legacy regardless. So I was just wondering what your guys' opinion is on kind of censorship in the media and kind of online hate and criticism that journalists and hosts of TV and radio shows experience, and these two instances particularly.
I know. Have you guys ever heard of Jon Ronson?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like an independent like journalist and author. He's like really into psychology. I think he's a very popular psychologist, but he has a great TED Talk about like how Twitter like ruins lives, and like I think it was like a few years back that he spoke to it, but yeah, he does a bunch of really cool studies, but more specifically on this TED Talk, he highlights this like professional woman who like tweets a joke about African kids who are like starving. Like it was a joke like for the time. Like if you look at like what was accepted by society, like the bar between like 2000 and like 2013 or 14, way different than what's acceptable now. But she made a joke about like starving kids in Africa, and like she's not like a racist person. It was just a joke that she tweeted. She puts her phone on airplane mode, goes on her flight. By the time she lands, she loses her job. Like she gets like immediately canceled. So he takes a really in-depth look at that, and like how like social media is like it's supposed to be this great like justifying force, but sometimes the pendulum swings in the other direction.
I think there is one point that should be made, at least with like hosts and opinion, like people who either are journalists or like have a like a talk show, is like they do have some obligation to like make sure that what they're putting out into the world is accurate and like up to a standard that they would expect from others. So with them, yes, I mean with average citizens, I mean Twitter's a cesspool. You go on there, it's like a cohort of bots and incels. Like I don't know what else can be said about Twitter. I mean, getting off Twitter is probably the best decision anyone could ever make. I mean, those are like my thoughts of it. Is like, I mean, but the thing is, especially with people with prominent voices, is like, just know what you're putting out there before you do it, because like you don't know what someone else will find offensive. So what's the point of putting it out there if it's not the type of energy that you'd want portrayed towards you? Essentially, like it's not that difficult. You're already like making millions or like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just don't fuck up. That's it. Just don't fuck up.
What about people like Abby just mentioned though, who fucked up, but like then like I don't know if this is the best example, but what about people in general? Because I don't know what happened with her later, but like what about people who did something that was considered okay back in the time, and now it's considered fucked up?
Well, I don't think actually with that standard, I don't think that you should be able to cancel someone from what they've said in the past, because if you're doing that, like, think about some of the things that you might have said years ago that you realize were hurtful and wrong. Like, you should be almost judged based on the time in which you said the thing, almost, because, like, what's acceptable, especially comedians are facing this all the time. A joke that you told in 2003 will not hit in 2020. It's a fact.
Yeah.
Okay, like, there's just this constant line that's forever shifting throughout the years. So I feel like trying to cancel someone for what they said in like 2012, I don't think you should be able to do it. You should be judging them off of what they put out now.
I think like cancel culture is like a beast in itself, you know, and like I think of like people like, I don't know if you guys ever watched her, but like Jenna Marbles.
Yeah.
Like my all-time favorite YouTuber, and like he posted a few things, same thing, like back in 2010, 2011, 2012, and people were starting to bring it up this year. So she just, as a whole, without wanting to offend anyone, stopped making videos, you know? And like it sucks that cancel culture can affect someone like that, because I don't know, she was just always like an idol to me. Like I never thought she could do anything wrong, and I don't necessarily think she did anything wrong. She was super accountable for like, these videos are distasteful now, so I'm getting rid of them. But it sucks that like because of how scary cancel culture can be, she decided to like stop completely, you know.
What was she canceled for again?
It wasn't like a full canceling, but basically like she made a couple videos just like making like a couple jokes about women and like making women seem like ditzy or whatever. And then like I don't think there was anything necessarily like awful, but she made some jokes about like Miley Cyrus and about like stuff like that. I don't honestly remember.
Yeah. Well, here's the one thing I will say about that, because she is a woman herself. So then wouldn't that mean people like Chris Rock, who makes fun of African Americans as an African American, should also be canceled for that?
Yeah, it was just like, it just felt like not necessary to me. Like I feel like there's plenty of instances where people should be held accountable for their actions, especially if it's like recent stuff that's happening now and you know everything. But I think it's difficult sometimes to judge people on their past mistakes, especially if they seem like, you know, truthful. I mean, it's hard to be truthful on the internet no matter what, but you know, you can see someone's intentions sometimes.
I do also think it's always a funny thing to point out as well. Like a lot of the people who are like trying to get these people canceled, one, very depressed. They aren't happy where they are in their lives, and they're just going on the internet to try and tear someone else down. Like that is essentially what a Twitter hater or an Instagram hater or Facebook or whatever platform they're on, if they're sending you, like, people get hate for normal things, for like putting up a regular video. Like say Jenna Marbles does like house tour, like deep in her YouTube comments there's gonna be like, I hate you, you fucking bitch. Like if you read through your comment sections enough, like for how famous these people are, there's so many denigrating comments that these people get sent all the time just by people who just want them to fail.
Yeah.
So I feel like part of the problem with cancel culture is that there's just a lot of assholes out there.
Well, I think that's always kind of been a thing where like when people reach success, there's going to be a handful of people always trying to tear them down.
Yeah.
I think a great example. I forget the magazine, but there was like when Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods rose to the positions they were in, there were journalists who dedicated their lives to informing the people, and instead of like focusing on like real issues, they just try to find dirt on these successful people. It's like, but now with social media, those people's voices get amplified, even if they have less work and credits to their name. Like now strangers can get just a series of other strangers backing them up.
Yeah, another great example of that is like, I remember Kanye West was like opening his garage door at like 3 a.m. one day, and there was like paparazzi outside, and they were like asking him questions. He's like, "Leave me alone." He's like, "You're the scum of the earth. It's 3 a.m." Like you realize what like people who like reach a certain level of fame have to deal with. Like, if everyone was constantly following you, you'd say some shit you regret. But like when the paparazzi's following you at 3 a.m., what else are you gonna say?
Those are the journalists who write for like BuzzFeed and stuff.
Yeah. It's like the whole reason Britney Spears went crazy too.
Yeah,
she was absolutely hunted by paparazzi because she was young and beautiful and talented and, you know, gorgeous, and people were obsessed with her in the 2000s. Paparazzi literally drove her to the brink of insanity. Like, it's the whole reason she had that breakdown, you know? And it's, like, sad when you think about it. You know, I face this constant dilemma of, like, do I feel bad for them because they're people, or do I not care because they have thousands of millions of dollars, you know? So it's tough.
Yeah.
Well, the obsession with celebrities, particularly in American culture, I think is sometimes over the top. Like, there's people I find, like, I'd consider my heroes that I love. But, like, if I saw them the most, I would, like, I don't know, maybe I'd, like, want a picture with them, but I wouldn't be, like, following them around, just bothering them for shit. Yeah. I wouldn't be, like, asking them, like, about, especially because they always have to, like Abby says, bring up, like, all these controversies. Like, that's what those kind of tabloid, like, writers do. They bring up all this shit that they just think that they know will get people to look, and it's, like, all clickbait and stuff. Yeah. And what I also think is interesting is, like, censorship as a whole kind of changed a little bit. It is changing currently still, but in the past, like, 10, 15 years. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff. It's weird, though, because it's, like, there's a lot of stuff people used to be able to say, like, as far as, like, jokes they could tell and just, like, specific words even that they could use to, like, slang and stuff, like, that used to be, like, okay. And, like, now, like, it's, like, they would get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
Like, for jokes and stuff like that. But now people can, like, be more explicit about, like, stories they had, like, in their personal lives. Like, maybe, like, whether it be, like, a romantic story or, like something like that. People are more open about their personal lives, I feel like. And that kind of stuff is, like, okay. I just think it's weird, like, what we censor. And it's also a cultural thing at that, because in America, like there'll be things they'll censor, like, on magazines and stuff. Like, they'll censor, like, nudity and stuff, but in, like, Europe that's okay. And then here we'll have movies with, like, insane violence, and then in Europe they'll be like, no, we don't want that. Like, and, like, I know it's different in Asia and Africa as well. It's just different depending on your culture. So it's kind of difficult. Like, the issue that is with cancel culture is that it's inconsistent with what it targets.
It's constantly changing, I guess. But I think one thing that we kind of touched on that I'd like to is, like, it might be more of a, not just an American culture thing, but a human, like, behavior, I guess, where everyone always roots for the underdog, right? And then once you achieve success, everyone immediately flips. They want you out. So, like,
that's so true.
It's one thing you really notice when you get really into like sports documentaries. It's like a common theme across the board. Any team, any one big person, like, when you're the underdog, everyone's on your side. They'll forgive the bad things you done. Once you're the successful one, the bad things you do are amplified tenfold. Like, success
I also just wanted
is
to
very
say,
hard
like,
to manage.
The other thing I feel bad for famous people for is, like, they're people just like us, and I feel like fame kind of dehumanizes in a respect, because, like, imagine, like, you're sitting across from Tom Cruise as, like, a normal person. Your first instinct, like, if he's sitting at a dinner table across from you, is, I'm gonna go ask Tom Cruise for a fucking picture and tell all my friends I met Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is thinking, this is the 30th person who has approached me today, who doesn't know me, isn't my friend, and wants a photo. It's like they are humans. They want normal friendships. They want, like, things that all basic humans want, and then it's almost like removed from them. Like,
Also,
like when they, like, have an encounter, it's no longer like, oh, what'd you do today? How you doing? How you been the last few years? It is fucking, oh my God, I just saw you on this show or this movie, and can I get a picture? It's, like, terrifying.
Also, if you approach Tom Cruise, make sure you're following COVID guidelines.
He'll scream at
he
you.
might
Otherwise.
scream at you for 5 minutes.
That's true too.
What I also think is pretty ironic too is how it like changes. Like people like put their own political and personal beliefs in who they cancel. Like how Laura Ingraham, fucking Fox News, was always like, "Fuck Colin Kaepernick. Like you better stand up for the fucking anthem. You're not American." Or she was like to who was it? LeBron. She was like, "Shut up and dribble." Like she gets all this like she's like, "You better just play sports and not voice your political opinion." And as soon as Drew Brees starts talking, I forget what he was talking about, but he was like saying something recently, and she's just like, "You have to respect his political views. He's allowed to be political. He's a human." And I was like, what the fuck? This is selective canceling.
You're not following your First Amendment, you preach so much.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
What? Just before we move on though, what is your guys' like? What do you about those two stories I brought up? What do you think the first one when Tucker Carlson attacked what's her name, Taylor Lorenz? You think that's his? You think that was like it was justified that like I mean, I think it was good that New York Times stuck up for her, but you think that like he's entitled to his opinion, or do you think that was like over the top? Like, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, I don't agree with Tucker Carlson, but he said those things because he's gained traction for a reason. He knows his audience, you know? Like, it's same with Hannity. Like, you don't know if these guys actually believe in the shit they say. They just know they're making millions of dollars and who they make it from.
Yeah, I mean, I don't... Yeah, see, like, that's the thing. The personal obligation comes into play. Like, Tucker has a platform with millions and millions of people listening to him. So it's, like, almost irresponsible.
Yeah.
And he knows it is. So,
plus, it's her opinion, too, and it's about a personal thing that happened to her. So
yeah, so it's like...
It's about someone's personal beliefs. Like, I don't know. I would say it's not really his place to comment on that. Like I said, like, it is his First Amendment, right? But it's just not It's not ethical reporting. Yeah. I mean, you can consider him reporting, but
I don't like that he did that, but I'm not surprised that he did that.
Yeah, and then what about the second case when Washington Post suspended Felicia Sonmez for pointing out that fucking Kobe had sexual assault allegations against him. Do you think she should have been suspended for that, or no?
No, I don't. No, I still don't.
Do you think
it's in poor taste because he's passed, but. I mean, like, it's still fair to bring it up.
I think this one's really tough because it's something that should have been talked about, definitely. But at the same time, I could see why, like a lot of his fans and his family members wouldn't want to hear that right away.
Yeah.
So, what's your opinion on this, Paige?
I agree. I think it's at like she brought it up at a difficult time, you know, when people are really mourning somebody who is such an icon. It's not an easy thing to recognize the faults that person may have had, even if they did have them. So I don't think it was necessary that they suspended her, but I do understand why there was such an uproar about it, you know, because when someone passes away, even if they're not an icon, not many people want to talk about the crappy things that they've done, but everybody does crappy things, you know, it's just how it is, but nobody wants to talk about it when you've just lost somebody who's important to you, especially somebody who's in such a big spotlight and died in such a tragic way, you know?
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think suspending her was over the top, and they almost gave in to the fucking haters, but yeah, I think she could have, I mean, it's definitely something important that she brought up, especially for, like, anyone related to the incidents. But, yeah, I don't know. She maybe should have, like, brought up first why he was an icon and stuff, and then said, like, he was a troubled character. But then, I don't know. It's tough. It's especially with stuff that's, like, criminal. Like, you know, it's hard. It's hard to really, like, put the balance on people. I think it's, like, people always kind of like see if the good outweighs the bad and stuff when you're looking at celebrities or historical figures.
But there's also like a way to bring up issues without necessarily like attacking someone who just died, you know? Like she could have worded it in a completely different way, I think, too, you know, like there's also a time and place for stuff.
Yeah,
you know, it could have been more like today we mourn this death, but tomorrow we remember people who are, who have been affected by, so and so, such and such.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's a good way to put it, I would say.
I think another thing, her doing that show, I mean, it was kind of bad timing on her part, but it also kind of reveals, speaking to another culture of like how forgiving we can be of professional athletes. I think there are a lot of athletes that like all right, for example, Tom Brady, 4-game suspension for deflating footballs. Ben Roethlisberger, nothing. And Ben Roethlisberger has that story's pretty well corroborated. So I'm just saying, NFL, Roger Goodell.
And the guys they've suspended for weed too.
Yeah, like you can get suspended for weed, but not like
domestic abuse, sexual assault, like all this nasty
pretty crazy,
shit.
Pretty insane.
That's a whole new topic, criticizing the NFL.
Yeah, that's going on topic.
Yeah,
but it's just it's looking into
We've
like
done that definitely on this show.
Like as a professional journalist, I'm sure she wasn't naive enough to think like there would be no lashback at her. Like I'm sure she knew it was coming.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty, I think that does that for the first topic.
All right. So, speaking of controversial topics, many of us might not feel this is that controversial, but it is very popular in the media this week. The trial of 46-year-old Derek Chauvin, the police officer who knelt on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 30 seconds, around 9 minutes and 30 seconds. And which eventually led to his death. His trial started this week, 2 days ago. It's been very interesting to follow because body cam footage has been released. So I guess I'll start with a sequential listing of the events. So George Floyd was murdered. And then May 29th, 2020, this year, is when Chauvin got arrested and charged with murder charges. So the actual charges being brought onto him, he has a charge for second-degree murder and third-degree murder, and a charge for second-degree manslaughter. So what the prosecution is doing here is second and third degree murder are basically like negligence murders or similar.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't second degree murder? I don't know if it means this, but it isn't like the initial intent wasn't murder, but then it ended up becoming murder at some point, and then it's intentional. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken. So the initial intent isn't murder, but then it ends up being intentional murder, essentially, along the way. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. And then and then second degree manslaughter is basically like he was negligent and then some guy ended up dying. That's basically what second degree manslaughter is like because of your irresponsibility someone died.
Okay.
So the reason why so he was originally charged with third degree and second degree manslaughter, third degree murder and second degree manslaughter. And then after the autopsy reports came out and the judge made their initial ruling, the prosecution decided second degree murder could be thrown in. So basically, if he gets convicted on all three, he could serve up to 75 years. But I don't think there's any way you could get convicted for murder and manslaughter together. That just wouldn't make much legal sense to me. But basically, if you watch the body cam footage, The ones I've seen, it shows George Floyd being handcuffed, and he is resisting arrest. Like, he's really like trying to not go in that car, and he's talking a lot. He's saying he's claustrophobic and everything. But I think where things go wrong is they actually get him into the cruiser. Like, he's a big guy. He's pretty He's pretty like fit too. But they get him into the cruiser on one side, and then one cop closes the door, and then on the other side, Chauvin pulls him back out of the car, and that's when he kneels down on his neck. I'm like, I watch Donut Operator and a lot of those videos on YouTube where like police respond to like shootouts, like domestic complaints, stuff like that. So I've seen people who resist arrest get like beat by the police, but once they get you in the car, you're in the car. Their main thing is close the door, get to the station. I think that's really where things become really clear that this is not fault. Like, what possible argument could the defense have?
Not a good one.
So I asked myself that, and here's the defense. The defense is that George Floyd had heart problems. He had heart disease, and he died because he was high off of methamphetamines.
So he fell out of the car because he was on meth. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Actually, he got literally pulled out of a cruiser because he was on meth.
He started yelling, "Pull me out!"
All right. So obviously, I think
what's up,
Chauvin.
What's up, Paige?
Oh, sorry. Go for it. Paige.
No, sorry. There was another defense that I saw that said he was just doing his job, but his job was already done once he was in the car and the door was shut.
Yeah,
exactly. Actually, wait a minute. Let's also reflect on that for a moment. How bad is that of a defense, and how bad does that look for police when the job description then becomes pull suspects out of a car and kneel on their neck? That's part of the job description.
Exactly. And
they always say that too.
All these police officers involved that were at the scene were fired, and Chauvin is being charged with the murder trials, and the other 3 officers are being charged with aiding and abetting. 2 of those officers were rookies. I do gotta say, I feel kind of bad for those rookie officers because if you think about it, if you're coming in as a brand new police officer and you're working a rookie beat and you're with a 19-year veteran,
you're not going to tell them what to do. You're not going to tell them what to do.
Like, as a brand new first-year police officer, what, you're going to pull him off the suspect you're arresting? Like, to be fair, George Floyd resisted arrest and he paid with illegal money at a gas station. He did not deserve to fucking die for it. That's just ridiculous.
Say, if you watch the video, it's clear he was on drugs. Like, you can tell he's like tweaking out, and he's also had firearms pulled on him before, which could like clearly mean that he has some sort of trauma from that, which could have caused him to kind of freak out and lose it. But because someone takes drugs, they deserve to get killed. Like, this isn't Rodrigo Duterte. This is like,
in my version of America, that is actually promoted.
Doing drugs, not the
killing part.
Not the killing part.
But anyway, Chauvin, honestly, drug use should be so much more legalized and promoted than it actually is in America. Like, we've had this failed streak in policy where we like criminalize people who use drugs. It's only showed negative consequences, and like if we had a more progressive policy in that area, you'd actually see less imprisonment and like less mental health issues and a better like society for all people.
Yeah, like
anyway,
that's what I see as one of the biggest issues is that police aren't trained to deal with mental health issues and people who are on drugs. They just know the whole like apprehend the perp, get the bad guy, but not everybody's a bad guy. A lot of things that go wrong are because somebody's dealing with a mental health crisis, somebody has special needs where they need to be talked to in a certain way or dealt with a certain way, or else they freak out. Like, it's just stuff that police aren't trained to deal with, and that's such a huge flaw in the system itself. Is like, you shouldn't be sending someone with a gun to go deal with a mental health crisis or something like that. Like, they should either be trained on how to deal with that stuff, or they should have different sectors that are there to help and assist in those times, Like I know this is a different story, but that boy, Elijah, his last name is leaving me, but he was, on the autism spectrum, and he ended up getting killed because they didn't know how to react to somebody with autism. And that's just heartbreaking, It's just sad.
One of the biggest problems, I think, with police in this country, and I won't speak on behalf of their problems because I've interviewed police and I know they have a lot going on and stuff, but one of the biggest things as an outsider I see with this police force in the country that I think needs to be changed is the fact that like you kind of said, Paige, a lot of police, they don't get trained enough. They don't get the funding they get goes to militarizing them and stuff instead of training them properly and teaching them how to deal with people who are addicted to substances or suffer from mental illnesses. And another big thing, and I've talked about this with Jake before, is a lot of police forces, they just don't relate to the people they're policing, either because they're not from the same background socioeconomically or ethnically, or the same race, or they've never dealt with people who are struggling from addiction or mental health. Like, they have such a traditional kind of style of policing and the traditional kind of working environment. They're just kind of subdue them, bring them to the station, ask questions later. Yeah. And that's just where you're going to get an unbelievable amount of police brutality.
There's such a black and white view of good guy and bad guy, and I feel like that really needs to be reevaluated, especially in America. Not everything is so, left and right. People are complex.
Yeah. Exactly. There's a lot of gray area in life. In every situation.
That can be forgotten in those high stress situations.
I think if there's one thing that will come as a benefit out of all of this is that, there's a glaring need for police reform to actually reflect, communities need to be served by officers who reflect the community, who can reach out, and who actually have a similar background, both economically and culturally, as the people they're serving in those neighborhoods. Because a lot of the times what you see is that police officers aren't even from the same neighborhoods as they're policing. You'll have some guy from a suburb outside of a city coming in and policing an inner city street. That guy has no idea what the actual lived experiences of these people are. Yeah. A lot of the times they're just placed there because the funds of the city aren't adequate enough to properly police the area. But if you actually try to reach out to the local community and the kids who are graduating from high school, who knows what they'll go on to do, they could either become engineers or, some of them won't. Some of them might need, a normal, $50,000 a year job. Try and get to those kids early on in their life and be hey, this could be a path for you. You could help your community. But, that's one of the glaring issues with policing that I think needs to be addressed, too. And it hasn't been yet.
No, I agree. And that's something I think community policing, I know actually the Suffolk police, I've talked to them before. They work on this a lot. And the same thing with, I know the police in my hometown starting to do this as well in Arlington, Mass., is they really go out and get to know the community and get to know the people that they're out there interacting with. And that really helps get to know, the demographics and the kind of issues and just any kind of viewpoints of the people that they're going to be interacting with, and kind of helps them kind of encounter those issues. And I think a lot of police forces, even especially in other parts of the country, but I'd say even in Boston, I've heard of instances where that needs to be done more, because they need to kind of interact with people more on a human level than the big point of this, though, is that
Chauvin is clearly a racist. Like, he pulled the man out of the cruiser and knelt on his neck for 9 fucking minutes. Like, the guy belongs in prison for the rest of his life.
So not
and
only
like,
that,
Yeah.
but so I guess I just wanted to shout out Flint Town, great docu-series on Netflix about police force that is really invested in maintaining their community, which is the job of a police officer. I also want to say I highly respect police officers. I think what's so hard to police in this country is it's so easy for anyone to acquire weapons. Like, no matter where you go, you can walk into any kind of situation in this country that might not be very common in a lot of other countries. So,
it's scary. It's scary as fuck, especially in places.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Like, insane.
It really is.
They tie into each other, but like, they're hard problems to solve.
It is a whole.
I don't want to go off on a tangent, but oh my god, I think gun laws should have been tightened when Sandy Hook happened. You know, like, come on. Like, I saw that somebody said, they were like, you know, Sandy Hook happened, nothing got better, and that's when America decided it was okay with letting kids die in unnecessary ways, you know? And since then, it's been nothing. So it's just like, it's just insane to me.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's hard. I know that in the state of Connecticut, they made gun laws a little stricter as far as who can access firearms. It's going to be tougher to do on a national level.
Yeah,
that lobby groups, NRA Gun Owners of America.
Oh,
but
it's not going to happen on a national level until we change campaign finance. Campaign finance needs to change.
I will say, though, it is technically constitutionally like a statewide basis.
Yeah.
Like, who makes those laws regarding. So that's another reason why it's tougher. So it's gonna have to be a more local thing. But I agree. I'm not necessarily for banning any kind of weapons, but I do think it should be harder for people with past records of either like struggling with any sort of illnesses that may hinder their ability to operate a firearm, as well as people with past violent crime records. They shouldn't be able to get that as easily.
Yeah.
And getting a car, it should take a long time to kind of get the license.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I agree.
Totally.
I'm like in
This
the
is
same
like,
mind where it's like, the thing is, I'm not as much for like limiting what kind of guns you can get. I'm more for limiting who gets access to those guns. Like personally, I think like many stable people, it doesn't matter like what kind of gun they get, they're going to be responsible with it. But like, people with mental health disorders shouldn't have any gun.
There are also states in this country where like a gun is essential to like your living in terms of hunting and things like that. But we got off topic a bit here. I'm gonna get back to this trial. So
shit, and you shouldn't be kneeling on people's fucking necks if you're a cop. Literally,
so
them and
fuck this guy.
How painful that is.
So another.
Literally kill you.
Yeah, another argument the defense brings up is the cops were distracted by an unruly crowd. If you actually watch the body cam footage, every spectator is trying to talk the police to get that guy off of George Floyd's neck. No one is getting aggressive, and the officer that was like kind of maintaining the crowd, Tuo Tao, I might be mispronouncing that, but he got charged with abetting, but like he made sure the crowd was orderly. So that argument's ridiculous, I think. But getting back to the facts, June 1st, 2 autopsy reports are published. So this murder happened in Hennepin County, and the actual state-employed medical examiner for Hennepin County ruled the cause for George Floyd's death to be cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement subdual restraint and neck compression. So cardiopulmonary arrest is basically a heart attack from a lack of oxygen. A lack of oxygen causes your heart attack. That's what that is.
And the knee on the fucking neck.
Yeah. I mean, one possible thing that might explain that is having your airways cut off. I mean,
Yeah, five guys.
possibly.
But yet they're still like, oh no, it was
Definitely.
the drugs. The drugs killed him at the same time as the cop's
No,
knee
it was-
being on his neck. It happened to be the drugs at that exact time.
This guy who's like skinny and ripped had died of a heart attack from fucking drugs. Yeah. But,
Yeah, just at that exact moment too.
Yeah. And then so the Floyd family hired another independent expert to conduct an autopsy. They ruled it to be asphyxiation from sustained pressure. I think that's kind of playing into, like, they knew this happened, so that examiner kind of played into that. But, like, when your own county medical examiner concludes that this guy was murdered by law enforcement subdual, like, that, I think that's the most damning piece of evidence of all. And then, also, going back to the video, there's a point at which the cop tells George, you're going to have to get in the car and do it calmly. And George repeats himself. He's like, I'm sorry, I will get in the car. I will get in the car. I will get in the car. And he just stays on him for the next, like, 4 to 5 minutes. Yeah, pretty insane. So, moving on in the trial, they have witnesses that feel very uncomfortable with the cops doing this and trying to talk to the cops to get them off of him. And in addition, when firefighters arrive, the cops actually prevent the firefighters from administering help. There was a witness they brought
That's illegal.
Yeah, it is illegal. I mean, these guys were all fired, so...
Yeah, I mean, everything about this is illegal.
Oh no,
There was a
that'll
witness,
show them.
Yeah, there was a witness they brought in who was a firefighter. She said she arrived on the scene and she saw what was happening and that he was unresponsive, and she said she really wanted to help him, but she couldn't. Like, she said what she would have done was turned him over and started doing chest compressions. And she was prohibited from doing so.
It's actually illegal to not administer help to either a witness or a perpetrator who is exhibiting like harmful symptoms. Like, it's illegal not to administer aid.
Yeah.
It's something that's like written in the handbook of policing.
I have also heard rumors that the cops like called firefighters to like mess up their response time, but I haven't actually read any of that evidence myself or seen that evidence myself, but so I can't really speak to that.
This is the biggest problem like nationwide, is like the biggest issue that could become inherently a problem in this whole trial is that police unions have a lot at stake in almost every case. So like a new ruling on the Floyd case could actually affect national police unions nationwide.
Definitely will. I think one of the craziest things about this case is the state prosecutor is prosecuting police officers. That is so unprecedented. That is so rare for a state prosecutor to do. But I think the reason why the state prosecutor decided, so the lead prosecutor is Minnesota's Attorney General Keith Ellison. I think the reason why he's doing this is there's so much video and eyewitness evidence. Like, the case is in the bag. Like,
it's in the bag.
Yeah.
The other thing is, like, from defense's point of view, like, imagine the lawyer who's like being the defense attorney for Chauvin. Like, if you think about it, all right, how many nationwide riots were there in every single major U.S. city? You know, how many like organized protests were there? This guy's going in the can.
Yeah.
This guy's going in the can.
I'd be afraid for my life if I was Chauvin's lawyer right now.
If I was his lawyer, I'd be afraid too.
Like,
honestly, I mean, the only reason that I can even think that he took the case was to get nationwide recognition.
Yeah.
Nationwide recognition instantly.
Johnny
all
Cochran.
defense.
He's the next Johnny Cochran.
But yeah, he's going in the bin. He belongs in the bin.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now.
In the bin.
I think
In
what'll
the bin.
end up happening is he'll get charged with second-degree murder, spend about between 20 to 40 years in prison.
Hopefully die in there. That'd be great.
He probably won't. He's 46. I think that's
Yeah, but
That's
if they
like
kill
young
him,
by today's
Oh,
standards.
actually, let's be
Serious
real.
shit.
As
Yeah,
soon
unless
as he
they
goes
kill
to the
him.
general population, dude, he's getting shanked or hung in prison, bro.
Or his neck nailed on.
Your mic.
Yeah. Oh, dude, could you imagine how glorious that would be? If someone knelt on his deck.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna endorse that, but I wouldn't say I'd be
But
super
I'm not gonna
upset.
condemn it either.
Yeah.
All right. So Jake, you want to talk about a topic, or are we gonna get?
I think we can probably just go into Reddit.
Let's hit Reddit real
Yeah.
quick.
Reddit.
Let's do 2 of them.
2. All right. So we're just gonna have to do a cut here because I'm not even on Reddit.
That's fine. I'll just tell Paige real quick. So I don't know if you've seen any of our content before, but like at the end of the episode, what we always do is we go on our advice on Reddit, and we give 2 randos basically some life advice. And
oh yay! I love life advice.
exactly. It's
Oh,
mad
yeah.
fun.
Wait, are you on Reddit?
No, I just like
Oh,
giving life
okay.
advice.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's like a general thing.
Yeah.
Just in general, I like when people ask for my opinion about things.
Yeah.
That's good. You can make a whole radio show just out of answering people on the internet.
Yeah.
Oh, I've always wanted to do like a love advice column so badly. I think I definitely missed out on doing a Valentine's Day special, but it would take a lot of prep getting people to ask questions.
You
have to
could
fill the
We'll
show.
call in.
there's probably a Reddit page where you could get a ton of content to comment on, honestly.
I
would
got
pretty
one.
cool.
So
Do you
fun.
guys want me to do this? It's the vets have injured my dog. I like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds
wanna use this
interesting.
one?
Well, we'll do
Alright.
that one.
All right, everyone. We're back on Reddit. This first one is titled "The Vets Have Injured My Dog." Hi all, I'm new to Reddit, so I apologize if this is the wrong place. Please remove this post if it is. Sorry, I should have just taken with that. Today, I, 24 female, took my dog, 7-year-old golden retriever, to the vets in the UK for his annual vaccine. Due to COVID, owners are not allowed in, so I handed him over at the door and let him in what I thought were safe hands of the staff. He was in for nearly 45 minutes. This already concerned me, as the vaccine should have only taken a couple of minutes to be done. When he came out, the first thing I noticed was that his tooth was sticking out of his mouth. On further inspection, I could clearly see that 3 of his bottom teeth were very loose and hanging out of his mouth. I am absolutely certain that his teeth were not like this before he went in. He was very distressed and couldn't get back in the car quick enough. This is unusual for him. I went back to the window to address my concern and asked to speak to the vet that dealt with him. The vet came out to speak with me and told me that he had noticed his teeth were loose when he checked him over. If he noticed, why on earth would he not have told me when he brought him back out to me? He told me that he would give me an estimate of how much it would cost to fully remove the teeth and any tartar that might remain in the teeth. I was not impressed by this. Not only have they somehow dislodged my dog's teeth, but now I need to pay them to get them fully removed. Fuck, that's so sad. As angry and upset as I was, I don't think that there was a lot I could do to prove that it was them, so I didn't argue and I went home to compose myself. However, when we got home, I picked him up onto my lap, and he was letting out a chilling yelp. I couldn't tell it had hurt badly for him. I gently stroked his back to comfort him, but every time I touched him, he would shriek. It's now hours later, and I can still not touch anywhere near his spine without hurting him. He has turned into a nervous wreck and has displayed stress all day. I know something happened while he was in there, and the fact that they are clearly lying to me about what occurred is what concerns me. Is there anything I can do about this? Am I going to write I am going to write to a practice manager, but I don't know if it'll get me anywhere. I tried writing to them when they lost a 200-pound vaccine I had paid for last year, but I was never reimbursed. Any tips or advice would be greatly appreciated. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so honestly, what it seems like is these people either have no clue what they're doing, they're very underqualified, or they just don't give a fuck. And like the dog maybe like resisted the vaccine and they just were like rough handling it and just like like basically treating it like shit, and clearly like these people aren't properly qualified and should have never been in that job to begin with.
It sounds like the fact that it's not like if she touches his spine and like and he shrieks from it, it sounds like they actually did some other damage to this dog. I don't know how forceful they were for it, but they clearly might have hurt the dog in a way that wasn't explained.
There might be a psychopath working at this veterinary clinic.
I know, right?
I am not on the side of the vets at all, but I do know that I have a little puppy and he had to get all his, baby vaccines. And when he got them, like, he was, a sludge mess. You couldn't touch him. He would scream for days just because he was, like, little. But I mean, still.
Were his teeth coming out?
No, his teeth are perfectly fine. I am not on the side of the vets because something has gone wrong, especially if she already had previous issues with them losing a 200, I don't know what pounds equal to dollars.
British current. Yeah,
it's probably 150 or
maybe 250.
Something like
that.
Yeah. If my vet had lost something like that and not refunded me for it, I would have left already. So it sounds like there was already previous issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seem like reckless, like they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
it's really bad if you're dealing with animals.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Moving forward, I think either if you have the resources for it, private investigator to look at the clinic and see if that's a common theme. Private investigator finds something, you can go to a lawyer.
Yeah, and you can also expose them to, like, with an investigation team, like on the news or something.
The thing is, that's pretty expensive to do. So, if you don't have the resources for that,
the thing is, with the internet now, if she starts if this gains traction, she posts who it is. That's why, like, a team from like the news or something will come and they could investigate it if it's a big issue. Yeah. And these people can lose their jobs. So
social media helping people. Yes.
I'm pretty sure you can, like, if she took her dog to another vet, like, there has to be a way to tell if teeth are falling out on their own or if they're falling out because of trauma. Yeah. Like, there has to be something they can look at to see, like, if it was because the dog got hit or because of something else, you know?
That's a really good point, actually.
Yeah.
It definitely needs, like, an investigation.
There's got to be vets that can tell.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, people who are better trained. I definitely think she needs to stop going to that vet, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either a psychopath or they're, like, clearly
they're just shit at their job, I think.
They should have, first of all, before removing any teeth, why didn't they go ask her if it was okay to remove them? Like, that's not a decision you make without.
She'd be like, "Fuck no!" They were just trying to get a vaccine. Now
she brought her dog to get a vaccine. She noticed her dog's teeth were loose and asked them about it, and they said, "Oh, that could be a problem in the future. Here's $1,000 bill to remove them."
Which for anyone who's watching this, you don't lose teeth by getting a vaccine. Go get your COVID. Is it up there? Like,
oh god!
You don't lose teeth from getting a vaccine. You don't lose teeth from getting a vaccine. You just lose organ function and eyesight.
Yeah, go blame me. What were you gonna say, Paige? Sorry about that.
Also, the thing that was weird was that the doctor didn't say anything when they brought the dog out. You know, like same thing when they brought my dog out because of the COVID thing. They were like, "We noticed Vernon has a little cough. Is everything all right?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't want you guys to point that out." But if it's something like teeth, I feel like they would have been like, "Hey, like something's up with your dog's teeth." Instead
dogs
of like,
get COVID.
Come back. That was like a scare for a little bit, but I don't think they can.
I thought cats could get COVID, not dogs. I'm pretty sure cats could.
How is it?
I haven't really looked into it.
Because dogs can't. I'm pretty sure dogs cannot, but cats can for some.
Do you think like a bunny could get COVID?
Or like a horse?
Well, yeah, like a horse. I feel like a horse could definitely.
Yeah.
I bet you a monkey could get COVID.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking. I bet you primates could. Because if humans can, primates share an incredible amount of DNA with us.
Yeah, like a bear could probably get COVID.
Wait, if horses get COVID, does that mean...
Nah, my biggest bet would be on primates. I bet you primates can get COVID too.
Yeah, like an ape or a gorilla.
Yeah.
If horses can get COVID, does that mean Burger King burgers have COVID in them? Or...
Wait, this is totally off topic, but did you guys see that Subway bread doesn't have enough bread in it to technically be bread.
What is that?
Really?
Really?
Subway. Their tuna's not tuna.
Jake.
Their bread's not bread.
Yeah,
Jake, your
Subway.
favorite restaurant ever created on this
Yeah,
planet.
that's his favorite. That's his
I'd
favorite.
say
Right?
Fucking good.
famous Taco Bell.
Yeah,
There's
you
not
love that styrofoam bread, don't you?
Taco Bell
It makes
doesn't
sense.
have
This kid eats Wonder Bread. I'm sorry.
Wait, so what is it that you're eating?
It's like soy or like a replacement for that. It's the same
Oh
thing.
no, it's soy.
Yeah, that explains a lot, actually.
That does
Paige. Thank
explain
you
a
for
lot.
helping us end this.
I see.
It's the same thing with Taco Bell taco meat. It's not enough percent beef to be beef. It's mostly soy and like a gentle sprinkling of beef, which is like scary
Yeah.
to me at least.
Yeah. We don't pay for soy. You can go to Starbucks and get a soy milk latte for that.
It probably tastes better than anything from fucking Subway or Taco Bell, honestly.
Ooh, I have a good one. Are we ready?
Sure, yeah.
All right, so the second one, for folks out there, the title is "Should I Drop Calculus to Maintain My Average?"
Yes. Done.
Basically.
Yeah, this isn't really one that's going to need a lot of discussion, Jake. I would have picked a juicier
All right,
one.
fuck you guys. That's a pretty different one.
I took pre-algebra and algebra 1 about 5 times in my education career, and I've not touched calculus class once. And I'm still graduating with honors, baby.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I would just say like the GPA is everything. Like I mean that's the sole thing that matters.
I agree.
It's all school is GPA, and then the rest you figure out on your own.
Yeah, but I mean, like most jobs, though, what are they looking for? At least in my field, they're looking for experience.
Well, most jobs are looking for experience, but if you graduate with a degree and a high GPA, they'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
It also
but
opens up doors for you to if you get good grades, you can you can get better sign-on bonuses. You're more highly recruited.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more true in some jobs than others, but
Yeah. A lot of these are just not.
What?
I don't want to. No, there's one
The
that I saw.
NSFW?
Yeah. I saw one and I was like, oh no. It's kind of giving me like
That's
PTSD. Oh, how do I celebrate things I achieved? How do I stop being controlled by my emotions?
What else is there?
How can I exercise my my delusional housemate? That's kind of funny.
Maybe. What else?
Would appreciate. Oh no! All right, they're just looking for advice. My family may be under attack.
Oh, let's hear that.
All right, this one actually sounds pretty good. All right, my family might be under attack. This is the heading. I don't know where else to post this, but I need to somewhere. Anyone remember the "Hey, I want to be friends" YouTube hack? I don't know what that's referring to.
I somehow feel like I know, but I've never.
Hey, want to be friends? I don't know what that is. YouTube hack. Something similar seems to be happening on TikTok. My sister's account was recently commented on by random username. I'm not going to mention it. And he somehow knows our names. I checked his account, and most of his followers are accounts with the same picture. Anyone know anything about this? I need help. Interesting. So I guess there's an account of his sister's that's under attack, and they know everyone in his family's name. That's weird.
Isn't that like doxing? Like, isn't that the whole thing?
Yeah, that's probably a hacker.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that terrifying to me. Like,
Yeah.
it's the web.
What this kid needs is a course in how to erase website website stored data.
I think what this kid needs is a fucking how to write comments properly for dummies, because like he didn't frame this question correctly. Like I don't know, like is there a reason that someone would be after his family? Because like just a random account online.
That was like a really like
anti-dramatic.
It's like those YouTubers that Wait, sorry, you can continue, Paige.
I was gonna say, I thought it was like somebody was consistently breaking into their house like once a month.
Yeah,
I thought
first of all, like, did this kid have something that he did that he thinks someone's pissed at him about? Like, no, nothing. Just some random online account.
Just some.
If it's like a kid, like it's scary sometimes when someone's like, I know your name, or like you're ever on Omegle. Like I don't know if you guys did that when you were kids, but like. Omegle was such a big thing. And
that was a very weird place to be late at night.
Yeah, and like you'd feel like so like, oh my god, what did I do? Why did I just talk to that stranger and like freak out a little bit? And it seems just something like that, you know, like.
Oh, you guys want a dark one to end the show? Like it's not that bad. I'm willing.
Is it dark by your standards or by normal people's standards?
But. Probably by both, but like let's just do it. Okay.
Oh shit, it's got to be really dark.
It's pretty bad. All right.
Oh god, he's laughing.
This is like this is the title of it. I'm paranoid that I accidentally may have buried my cat alive.
No.
Oh jeez.
No.
All right.
How do you fuck that one up?
Yeah. What?
All right, yesterday I found my cat completely lifeless on the side of the road near my house. I went to go check to see if it was him, and unfortunately it was. I had no doubt in my mind at the time that there was a possibility he was still alive. I lifted him up in a towel, and his body was completely limp. And I could barely look at him because his face, his eye in particular, were pretty messed up, and there was a puddle of blood around his face on the road. I'm starting to think it's dead. I noticed his body still felt warm, and there were no flies or other decomposers on his body, so I assumed he must have been hit recently. This was yesterday morning around 8 a.m. when we found him, and my dad confirmed that he had just seen him in the morning, maybe an hour or so prior, so around 7 when he leaves for work. Given his condition and the fact that I could barely stand to look at his body, let alone touch him, my mother and I never checked for his heartbeat. I had a feeling that he was still alive. I would have checked. He was completely lifeless from the moment we saw him to the point we buried him, maybe around almost the span of an hour. Fast forward to tonight. My sister claims that she heard him meow. His cry is very distinct, right where we buried him. I am now in full panic mode and paranoid that I might have buried my cat alive. He is in pretty bad shape, but maybe by some miracle he survived, and the guilt of possibly burying him alive is eating at me. I'm sick to my stomach just thinking about it. I remember a while back that someone buried their cat alive on accident, and it crawled its way out of its grave a few days later. So I know it's a possibility I may have done the same. I feel so terribly guilty for not having checked for a heartbeat, even though he appeared to be dead. I have no idea what to do or think. Any advice would really help right now.
I don't know. Dig it out.
No. I think this is what happened. I think that vet fucking killed the cat. And then it was definitely from that what you described to me. It was dead, and I don't know how long they took to bury it. But like, if it was if something's alive, like you check, like you don't just bury it right away. Like I'm sure they would have had it for a while, like out on the ground.
The top comment is brutal.
And even wait, I was gonna say, even if it was, like, there's a chance it could have been alive, but like I said, if it didn't move at all,
its way out.
Yeah, you're making it suffer, and that's fucked up. If you were,
I mean, it's still fucked up if it's suffering that he didn't like put it out of his misery before he buried it.
I don't think he buried it alive. I think his sister's tripping.
At this point, it's definitely fucking dead.
Yeah, but no.
This... If it wasn't dead then, it's dead.
It's definitely dead now. Yeah.
Honestly, euthanasia for animals is so expensive. So it's like. Yeah, like putting an animal down is so expensive. So it's like, it's dead now. Let it rest in peace.
Top comment is,
there's no way it was alive, because he said literally it was like limp and he couldn't even like it looked like it was like struck by a vehicle.
And didn't move or say anything the entire time.
Top comment top comment on it is I'd go dig up my cat before it suffocates. If it's actually dead, then I'd simply rebury it. And then it says insert obligatory Schrodinger joke here. Oh, that's where I laughed. Like, Schrodinger's cat, is it alive? Is it dead? Is it both at the same time?
No, there's no way his sister was hearing it meow from way inside the house. If it was out, and that's bullshit.
That's just guilt.
Yeah.
That's just like PTSD or whatever.
Yeah, this guy has no reason to feel guilty, honestly. I think,
Just feel guilty that your cat's dead.
I mean,
that one was tough to read.
I meant by, like, guilt, like you didn't kill your cat. Like, your cat got hit by a car. Like, it's...
Yeah. If you were trying to keep a cat that was, like, suffering alive, or any animal for that regards, like a dog or whatever, like that, you can't, like... It's the same reason, like they put dogs down when you don't want them to suffer any longer, and it's the same reason assisted suicide, like euthanasia, is legal in some places. Like, you can't force something to suffer. That's actually way worse.
Yeah, for real.
It's brutal though. Like, that one's tough. I don't know.
Great fucking.
I hope he didn't fucking kill his cat. I mean, like,
no, he
literally.
didn't.
I don't think he did. He or she. I don't think it's specified.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not assumed genders here.
I mean, it did sound... maybe not, actually.
Otherwise, we could get canceled by our 10 viewers.
That's so messed up, though. Alright, yeah, we're going to end it on that one. I have nothing else. I can't go on with any more of these.
Yeah, you could have ended
dirty in the yard twice tonight.
Yeah.
Nah, it's been yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know why you picked two with like animals, like suffering.
There was one that I just you think that one's bad? You should have seen one of the other ones.
What, was it the same vibe or was it about something different?
No, worse. Worse, and it's like hard to imagine something worse.
I don't want to know.
Well,
I think that's it.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's bad. Ending on a sad note, I guess.
Ending on sad notes. Well, Paige, we want to thank you for coming on very much.
Thanks for having me.
If you want to plug the fundraiser one more time, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, feel free to check out WSFR's website, SuffolkFreeRadio.com. There we have links to learn more about us, to sign up if you're interested, check out our schedule, listen to some old shows, and also read some more about our lock-in, which is on April 10th, starting at noon. So, yeah, check out our Instagram, too, at Suffolk Radio for some fun information. Yeah, that's everything.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much again for coming on. This was a really great episode.
Yeah, super fun.
And so that wraps up Straight No Chaser episode 28. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more content. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on Insta, straightnochaser.ent.
And leave a comment.
See you guys. Yeah, you can comment if you want.